that we really need America to go back into the Chinese market to be able to compete there. It's good for the American people. It's good for the American tech stack. It's also good that we are able to compete in China so that we could also win around the world.
各位刚刚看到的就是英伟达黄仁勋谈到的对中国市场的看法。没错，今天这期内容我们要聚焦英伟达重回中国这个大事件的进展啊。我还特意准备了一段英伟达黄老板接受 Fox News 专访的视频。在这次专访里面，黄仁勋非常清晰地阐述了他对中国市场的看法，以及他对 OpenAI 合作泡沫的看法。现在各种媒体报道的对于中国市场的看法都来自于这次的访谈，很值得一看。整个访谈15分钟，我是删了又删啊，实在是干货太多了，最后保留了10分钟，放到视频的后半部分。有图有真相。各位感兴趣的可以好好看看黄老板自己说了什么。黄仁勋一直在找机会重回中国市场，终于有了一定的进展啊。11月24日，美国商务部长卢特尼克表示，关于是否允许英伟达向中国出售芯片一事啊，特朗普正在听取许多不同顾问的意见。黄仁勋对华出口的诉求有充分的理由，众多人士都认为这一诉求值得考量，而特朗普将直接拍板，决定美方是否推进这一计划。12月3日，特朗普就与黄仁勋见面了，讨论了重新进入中国市场的可能性，而且黄老板已经取得了一定的成功啊。英伟达在美国国会取得一项重要的游说成果，立法者在必须通过的国防法案里面排除了一项可能限制英伟达向中国出售芯片的条款。现在大美帝也是处处设限啊，为了拖住中国的后腿，想尽了办法。刚刚说到的被黄仁勋按下去的这个法案叫做《保障国家人工智能获取与创新法案》，简单说就是美国原本要确保 AI 芯片优先供应给美国本土市场啊，微软、亚马逊等等这些科技巨头有芯片的优先获取权，限制英伟达对中国出口芯片。老黄最终想办法让这个法案没通过，这就是好消息，为重返中国市场打下了基础。黄仁勋明确说，中国目前的 AI 芯片市场规模大约为500亿美元，到2030年末可能增长到2000亿美元。假如英伟达真的能在近期回归中国市场，那英伟达分分钟突破200美金大关。就算现在没有消息，4月份双方家长不是要见面吗？就算现在不成啊，4月份成了也可以啊。这段时间每天都有朋友问我对2026年英伟达怎么看，我先立个 flag， 要是能回中国市场，英伟达2026年一定会突破300美元的。好了，下面呢就是黄仁勋接受 Fox News 专访的视频，各位自己看。各位认为英伟达2026年能到多少呢？咱们评论区留言。谢谢大家，咱们下期见。
Jensen, thanks so much for joining us. Wow, I mean, you posted the biggest beat in years, raised guidance. Here's what jumped out. $51.2 billion of your $57 billion revenue number came from the data center chip sales. That is just monstrous. I'm so curious to know, what's the largest single order to date that you've gotten?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. They're all in the billions. You know, they all have to be in the billions in order to add up to 51. And so I don't know exactly which one. But one of the things that is really great about NVIDIA's architecture is that we're so diversified. You know, we run AI is not just one thing. It's not just one language model or one chatbot. AI is a system of models, and you could use it for, of course, chatbots, but you could also use it for physics and biology and chemistry and, of course, robotics and self-driving cars. And even within language models, there's so many different architectures. NVIDIA's architecture is the only one in the world that runs literally everything. And yesterday, we announced a big partnership with Anthropic, and now we're the only architecture in the world that runs every single premier AI model, as well as every single open source model, and of course, every single version, modality of model. And so our versatility makes it possible for us to have a lot of different customers. And for all of those customers, we can bring them a lot of other customers that ultimately use their cloud capabilities.
Yeah, it feels like all roads are leading to NVIDIA. How are orders for your next generation chip, the Rubin, trending? And are you still on track to ship them at the end of 2026?
Well, I announced at GTC that starting this year, because we started shipping Blackwells, over the course of this year through the end of next year, we have visibility of $500 billion worth of Blackwell and Vera Rubin. And we'll start shipping Vera Rubin in Q3 timeframe of next year. The silicon is back. It is working wonderfully. Engineers across NVIDIA are bringing up the system. It's doing it beautifully. And we're on track for volume production in the Q3 timeframe of next year. In the meantime, I announced that we have $500 billion worth of visibility, but in the last 30 days, we announced some major new wins that were not included in that $500 billion. So we're adding, of course, the Anthropic opportunity. We're adding Elon's xAI now being deployed in Saudi Arabia. We announced a partnership with Humane, and those GPUs have been licensed, and they're going to be deploying in Saudi Arabia. And we also announced that AWS is going to also build 150,000 GPU AI infrastructure in Saudi Arabia. All of those are all net new. And so orders are still coming in. And so it's going to be a pretty busy year for us the next year.
It sounds like then the current quarter is going to be crazy good. Can I say that? What do you think?
Well, we guided to a much larger quarter next quarter. And so the guidance that we provided is crazy good. I would agree with that. And but we're in the beginning of a very long-term build out of the fundamental infrastructure of humanity, which is computing. As you know, we reinvented computing for the first time in 60, 70 years. And so all of the computers that have been installed around the world is being modernized to accelerated computing, NVIDIA's GPUs, and to artificial intelligence. And so this build out is going to last us many years to come.
It was exactly a year ago, and this is why I ask about Rubin orders, et cetera, because it was a year ago that you and I spoke about the problem a lot of companies wish they had. Blackwell orders were pouring in from the firehouse so fast, demand outweighed supply. What specifically have you changed to prevent any bottlenecks when Rubin rolls off the Taiwan semi-assembly line?
Well, we're not going to be caught flat-footed too many times. And we now have a much better understanding of the scale.
Yeah.
And the breadth, the diversity of our customer base. We've done a really good job planning our supply chain. We now have the largest supply chain of any company in the world. We work with TSMC, of course, manufacturing in Taiwan, and then also very proudly, for the first time here in the United States, we work with every single memory vendor now. We have 3 different sources, 3 gigantic sources of really complicated memory. And every system maker in the world are partnering with us. And so we've been planning for the Vera Rubin launch, and we've done a really good job getting set up for that. It's going to be a really big year next year.
So in September, you made a minor investment in Intel. Would you consider moving some of your physical manufacturing to Intel's foundry business? I mean, just to spread your bets?
Well, the most important thing we could do for Intel is something that only we can do. We could create opportunities for the Intel architecture and not only help them build products that are unique in the world, connecting NVIDIA's ecosystem to the Intel ecosystem, but also be a really large customer of Intel's. And so we are able to do something that nobody else can. We also invested in them, as you know, and it's a great honor for us to be able to invest in one of the United States' great companies. And we want American semiconductor companies to be strong. And this is something that we can do.
None of the chips that you are selling right now are going to China, at least not through legal channels. There is the black market, certainly. But I mean, ByteDance, Tencent, they used to buy hundreds of thousands of your chips, but President Trump is still curbing advanced chip exports to China. Read your chips. And on the Chinese side, President Xi Jinping has basically called for a fatwa on U.S.-made chips. So what can you do? You're in D.C. right now. You speak to President Trump. What light has he given you for the end of the tunnel when you can eventually sell to China again?
You're right that we haven't sold anything to China. Remember, NVIDIA's chips are not little tiny potato chips. These are 2 tons. Each one of our GPUs is a rack that's 2 tons large, or even the smaller versions of our racks are hundreds of pounds. And so it's not easy to smuggle. It's also requires really complicated networking and really complicated software. So it's not something that's easily smuggled. People talk about smuggling, but it's incredibly hard to do. And we chase down every opportunity, every single time that somebody's reported something, and it's just not been true. And so I think but separately, our situation currently is that it is clear that we really need America to go back into the Chinese market to be able to compete there. It's good for the American people. It's good for the American tech stack. It's also good that we are able to compete in China so that we could also win around the world. And so I think it's great for America to be able to go back into China. It's also really good for China market to be able to access the world's best technologies. It's good for their ecosystem. It's good for their industry. And so somehow we're going to continue to advocate and inform both governments. And, at the moment, I'm forecasting China's sales to be zero. It's zero for next quarter, it's zero for the quarter after that. We're assuming it's going to be zero. If we're able to break through on both sides of the ocean and with both governments, of course, China is going to be a very large market. It's about $50 billion this year. By the end of the decade, it's probably $150, $200 billion large, considering how fast AI is growing. It is really unfortunate that the American companies can't participate in that. It's a very significant source of revenue. That revenue would allow us to invest even stronger, even faster. And so I hope that we'll have the opportunity to go back in. But at the moment, we just have to assume it's zero.
All right. I do have to ask you, because this has come up, and this is not going to be a surprise to you that I'm asking about it, but there's some questions about these round-tripping deals that really start to look, well, the term everybody's using is circular, but they're related party transactions. Even your own filings have said that you have basically increasingly concentrated sales to, last quarter, it was 6 customers. There are filings that saying this quarter, it's now 4 big customers. I know you're not going to tell me who those customers are, but it's pretty obvious they're very much the hyperscalers. What if any of these companies, Jensen, suddenly scales back for whatever reason? Have you modeled for that? Because it could spook the markets. And again, people are asking this question about, NVIDIA gave OpenAI $100 billion, and in turn, OpenAI is going to buy your chips with ostensibly some of that money. It's a question. Tell people why they shouldn't be worried.
First of all, we haven't given a penny yet. And all of the revenues that we're projecting for next quarter and for next year, if you just think about the level of investment that we would make in each tranche, and none of it is forecasted at the moment in the $500 billion that I'm talking about, the investments that we're making is a tiny percentage of our overall revenues. They have to go raise the vast majority of the funding that they need. It's raising through equity, through other investors. And of course, every single round has been oversubscribed for OpenAI and for Anthropic and for XAI. They've been all oversubscribed. So they certainly don't need our investment. Our investment is intended to enable us to deepen our partnership with several of the most consequential companies in history. It allows us to work very closely with them, support their growth, but most importantly, expanding our ecosystem.